The video I'm presenting on the removal of a steering wheel is for entertainment purposes only, and you should seek out the assistance and advice of a professional in any installation that you do on your vehicle. Assume that this is for entertainment purposes, and I have no clue what I'm doing. Enjoy the video. All right, today I am removing the steering wheel on my 66 Shelby GT350 Hertz car. I'm tired of the orientation of the steering wheel. When the front end alignment was done, the steering wheel was not put on straight, or they never removed the steering wheel to do the alignment, and as a result we got it off to the side like this. So that said, I took the liberty to buy a steering wheel puller from NPD, National Parts Depot. So you just take the cap off and set it aside, and I didn't like that clang. Set it aside here, and here we have the nut that goes on the steering wheel. Now I've already pre-loaded this to remove, so the nut was going to come off fairly easily. I used a 24 millimeter. I think it's actually should be a 15/16 metric socket, or a standard SAE socket. I used the metric because I had the multiple points on the 15/16 instead of the 5-star pattern. That said, it's less likely to strip the nut. So let's get our steering wheel puller in place here. This is the actual puller. I've already preloaded the screw that goes in, and you will line it up to these holes here. 2 little holes there, and there are 2 screws that go in those holes. You orientate it this way, and I will get these screws. I'll start one of them here. You use a screw with a washer. There's a little washer on the end of it, right there. And just start threading it in like so. So it turns a few times. They give you several different screws for different size steering wheels. I've gone with the finer threads. I didn't want to go with the heavy duty because I didn't want to strip out the threads that are within the steering wheel. The slightly thicker thread will go in, but you might be stripping it out because you're going to have to really force it then. So let's get this thing going here. And bear in mind, I am holding a phone while trying to get this thing started. Let's see what we got here. Okay, looks like it's gone in. And you take a 1/2 inch socket wrench, 1/2 inch here. I always like the 5-point orientation. 1, 2, 3, you have 5 points so that you don't strip out the nut or the heads of the screws, or the bolts in this case. Anyway, I'm going to pause it and get this thing started. And the word out on the street is that you should have it do about 4 turns with the socket wrench. So make sure it's in there. So it doesn't have to go all the way, but just a few turns. 4 seems to be what was suggested. I'm just doing it so it tightens up. And there we have it. It seems to be in far enough. I'm not going to budge, and you just turn this bolt. You just keep turning. It's going to push up against the little center hub of the steering wheel, the center spot right there. So everything seems solid, and with each turn, presumably it will start releasing the steering wheel from its hub. Let's get this thing going. Actually, as it turns out, that bolt is slightly arched. I'm going to have to get a different size socket. So as it turns out, the bolt that turns to loosen the wheel is actually 9/16, and I misspoke also. It's 6 points. It's 6 points on these bolts, not 5. So maybe I got dyslexia where numbers are concerned. I don't know. Latent. I miscounted the number, but I self-corrected, so maybe that's a plus. So I'm going to turn it here, but I'm going to actually have to hold the steering wheel in place so it doesn't move. I feel it turning. If it's pulling the wheel off or not. Hopefully it's pushing right. Oh, the wheel just popped right off. Look at that. Off we go. There we go. Wheel off. There's the inside. There's the little plastic cam for the turn signals. Looks like the cam seems okay. Everything else looks okay there, I guess. Cam looks intact, not broken. Sometimes they break, so they're only plastic. But let's continue it after I get the wheel orientated right. While the wheel's off, I'd like to just mention it's good to look at the little grooves here. The little grooves on the side. And also the little grooves inside the wheel. I believe they have a tendency to wear out in time, those little splines. And my whole philosophy is, since this is a manual drive car, you want to make sure that your vehicle is always in motion before you start turning the steering wheel. Otherwise, you're wrestling with a manual steering wheel, and you're also putting strain on those little splines, I believe, and that will cause them to prematurely wear out. So growing up, I was taught that when your vehicle is at rest, you do not turn the steering wheel. You only start to turn it when you're in motion, and it actually facilitates turning the steering wheel, as you can obviously figure out when you're driving a manual steering car. Probably works the same for power steering too. Maybe it puts a strain, I don't know, but definitely puts a strain on the manual. So that's my philosophy anyway, to each their own. And it seems there's a bit of a spring on the steering wheel. It wants to push the wheel out, so you have to push down on it to get it. It's lined up now. It's where I want it. And then just add a little 15/16 nut on it, and that should do the trick. And now I have the nut on, the 15th by 16th nut, which I'm using actually a 24 millimeter socket. Seems to do the trick. Turn, turn, turn. Let's see how we're at. Yeah, there's a ways to go. There's some play in there. So I will pause the video and finish this aspect. And there we have the steering wheel properly oriented. It's about time. Waited long enough for this. Finally took the initiative. There we go. Mission accomplished. It was not difficult at all. Anybody can do it. Take care and good luck. As a further addendum, something I didn't mention but bears mentioning, is if you look at this steering wheel, there is a little notch right there. That is supposed to be in the 12 o'clock position when a front end alignment is done, is my understanding. Anybody has a different opinion, please chime in and correct me. But that's what I've learned, that it should be in the 12 o'clock position when the front end alignment is done. Turning the tie rods, the threads on them and that sort of thing. And then you straighten the steering wheel. That's it. The video I'm presenting on the removal of a steering wheel is for entertainment purposes only, and you should seek out the assistance and advice of a professional in any installation that you do on your vehicle. Assume that this is for entertainment purposes, and I have no clue what I'm doing. Enjoy the video.